It was wonderful. I had been watching AMC when I was in Salt Lake City. That's the first time I had seen it, and I loved it. It's old movies, not interrupted by commercials, and I just loved it. I had a wonderful time. Anytime I wasn't out doing a news story or working, I had that on and watched it regularly. And they had a little fundraiser. They wanted money to preserve films, so I sent a little check. And I got back what I assumed was a thank you, and so it was nice. They got back to me pretty quickly, and I threw it away. Nina held on to it. She always goes through the things that I throw away. And she held on to it. Nina. That's my wife, Nina. Nina Clooney held on to that for a indeterminate period of time. And later, I was called by a friend of mine who was working for AMC, a woman whom I'd known on trial. And she said, you know, I thought at least you would have the decency to call and respond to our request. And I said, what are you talking about? I sent you a letter, and I had already told them all about you, and I showed them tape on you and told them how much you liked movies, and they wanted another host for the afternoon. And I told them, you're the guy, and they offered you the job, and you didn't even call to say no. I said, oh my God, I'd crawl over gravel to get there, you know. And Nina had kept that, and she opened it, and indeed it was a job offer. And so I wrote back immediately and said, I'd love to do it. But unfortunately, almost a year went by before we could. They had already been negotiating with somebody else, and it went on and on. Finally, in 1994, we joined AMC. And when I got there, I found out that it was all run by young women. It was great. They were all enthusiastic about the product, and I was already an old guy, so they could make sure I didn't lose my glasses, and I'd know where I was supposed to be, and they took care of me for the next 5 years. They were great. And it was an absolutely wonderful experience. I got to research the movies that, heck, I'd seen most of them the first time around, you know. But now I got to research them, talk to these wonderful people, interviewed Ginger Rogers and all these great folks. It was a wonderful job. I enjoyed it.
So you had a lot of live guests, movie stars.
Did. They were not, very seldom were they live on set with me, sometimes, but very seldom. Usually I would get telephone interviews with them, or we would go to their place and do videotape interviews with them, and it would be background for the movie.
I know you're interested in movies. Did you bring some of the people that you knew onto the show? Did you bring Rosemary on?
Oh, yes. Rosemary was there. She was on the show. She also watched, as I did, regularly. And she would give me little things that had happened that she knew about. And she had a rich, wonderful experience, not only hers, but her first husband, Jose Ferrer, of course, had a rich history, and her second husband, after Jose died, Dante DiPaolo, who was one of the great dancers of the early script, danced with Fred Astaire, for crying out loud, and with Donald O'Connor, and was great friends with all of these people. So I got really wonderful firsthand sources that I was able to tap into, and then all my old pals like Shirley Jones, who I'd known for many, many years, and Debbie Reynolds, who I came to know while I was on AMC, and all of these others. They were a great help to me, and all the others that I had met, Jenny Powell and all the others who had been guests on my shows.